Hey everyone, it is Kai, and this week is Worlds Week, so I have to do content, I have to make videos before I fly out, because otherwise it's gonna be hard. So we're going to do a look at each format. We're basically going through each format, and we're looking at the 5 decks that we'll see on stream that we expect at Worlds on Saturday. So if you guys want to see Worlds, go check out the stream. It'll be on Twitch, and every single format, plus Y Shorts, will be streamed. So today we're going to talk about V Premium, right? And what decks are like really, really good in V Premium that we'll probably see on the stream, right? Yesterday was Premium, so go check that one out if you're curious as to what I feel, right? And I'll be seeing you on the Premium stream. So yeah, we'll see if I'm correct or not. But first, let's talk about the first deck that we'll see in V Premium, because V Premium has undergone slight changes because decks got hit, basically Steam Maidens, right? They lost Colossus, which does, I feel, open up the format quite a bit compared to before, which was just Steam Maidens. But now you have Steam Maidens plus other stuff. So with that said, yes, the first deck is Steam Maidens. This deck is still very, very good. I think a lot of people will still regard it as the best deck in the format. So we'll see. We'll see if it is the best deck in the format, but I now feel that a lot of decks can compete with it. The deck is very, very consistent, can get lots of attacks. And if you abuse a force marker with lots of attacks, that's a recipe for success, right? Now you don't have the Colossus to kind of ruin your opponent's hand, cut your opponent's hand down to size. So you have to, like, kill them normally, which is alright. It's still very, very lethal, right? Just doing multi-attacks is always lethal on a force marker. So you still have a lot of kill power there, but I do think now it's not just like, Steam Maiden top 4 or top 4. I mean, if I say this, it probably will be, right? So yeah, I think there's a lot of other decks that can now compete slightly better, right? And one of the decks that I'm going to say is this one, and that is Luard. So as you can see, Luard, a lot of people, it got unhit in a previous ban list, like the one before the one that we just got. And I thought that the deck would be pretty good, and I did top with it. So hey, I like it. I know some other players topped with it too. So it'll be interesting to see if they bring Luard still. But Luard didn't get hit. Steam Maiden got hit. Gap between them got closer. Luard is still a very, very strong deck, able to just generate a lot of force markers, get a lot of crits. Now you have the Ildona that can, speed up the deck a lot now and make it slightly more consistent. I think the deck is just really, really good. If I was gonna Worlds, I don't know, maybe I'd play Luard. Yeah, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, Luard just has, the grade ratios are less good, right, compared to Steam Maiden. But the power, you're trading that good that relative consistency, I guess, for a higher power, for like a higher late game. So there's that bit of trade-off. It depends really what you want to do. So I think both decks, I definitely think the stocks of this deck has just gone up more. So I think we'll see more Luard at Worlds compared to 4, right? Next is Great Nature. I think this deck has been pretty copium. It was definitely copium before Steam Maidens got hit, right? And a lot of people will disagree. But, if you were on Great Nature, I think you're still going to be on a Great Nature. Leopold can get Leopold Reverse can get a bunch of Excel markers pretty quickly, right? And not really generate a lot of multi-attacks, but they can get big attacks, which is very, very important. And the velocity of the deck, I guess, is alright. The power lines go big, your hand goes alright. Your Excel, so that's kind of cool. But then, like, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of this deck. I'm going to be honest. I'm not a huge fan of this deck. We saw a lot of tops of this, but not a lot of wins. Now that Steam Maiden is, like, down a peg, I'm interested to see if people are actually going to take this now and go, like, consider it a real option. Personally, for me, I think this is, like, the weakest deck out of the top 5 that I'm going to say today. And, well, don't let me stop you from taking this deck, right? I'm sure if you play it, you're probably one of the most interesting decks in the format, and you'll probably get streamed. So if you want some fame, hey, Great Nature is the way, right? Next we have is Valkyrian. So I always like to include decks that are very ignorant of the meta. And what I mean by ignorant is that you don't have to think much about what your opponent does or study the format at all, and you'll still have a very, very good chance of beating people, right? And Valkyrian is basically the epitome of high roll in a format where, or in a tournament where everyone else is good. You might be just going, if everyone is good, it just comes down to luck. So let me get the luckiest out of the lot and play Valkyrian and just kill everyone, get a bunch of crits and win, right? And, you don't really have to think about what your opponent does. What do? They can't, as long as they don't draw nulls, you win, right? And as long as, like, your opponent, if they're a great player but they don't draw nulls, you still win, right? Your opponent plays any deck, you might still win too, right? You just don't care, right? You just don't care. You don't have to study them. It's like back then in Sanctuary Guard, right? You play Sanctuary Guard, do you care what your opponent does? No, you just care about if you're able to crit your opponent and can win, right? So that's why I include Valkyrian. Big high roll deck in a format or in a tournament where you want to be getting lucky, right? If you don't get lucky, you probably don't win. And, you know, you just want to you want to feel lucky on the day, crack some wins, become world champion. That's how it is, right? That's how it is. And overall, just like even in the current meta, like, I mean, the previous meta before the ban list, right? Valkyrian was still, like, you can still consider Valkyrian because, you know, although Steam Maiden is like a really good deck, very consistent, very strong. Again, like I said before, Valkyrian doesn't care. It draws his pieces. They don't draw nulls. You just kill them, right? So that's how it is, right? That's how it is. The last deck that I want to say is Anj. So Anj is pretty interesting. Back during the BRO meta, it was really big after Prism got hit. We had just that period, and then, you know, Manlong just won 2 V premiums with Anj like Katia, which was like the best. Now we don't have Katia, but you still have the aggressive builds of Anj that you could run that you probably couldn't run during the Steam Maiden era, right? The problem with the Steam Maiden era was that, you know, well, LL era, which was basically the last couple of months, is that, you know, you can play aggressively with Anj, right? But you just don't get enough hand to survive their multi-attacks. Now, you know, they don't have the way to cut down all your hand. So your hand kind of survives, and you can still play aggressively. So I feel like playing a very aggressive build of Anj can be quite successful against everything else in the meta. You still get to, like, search your key pieces and things like that. So overall, I do think Anj is positioned to be quite good compared to, like, everything else, right? So, yeah. That's pretty much the top 5. I think it'll be very interesting to see what people take. There is one deck that I haven't mentioned that I felt like just, like, creeped out of the top 5, and that is Link Joker. So there was the one deck from Singapore that was played by Gabriel Tio, playing Glenius, right? And Glenius would be very good against, was very good against the Steam Maiden like matchups, because, you know, there's not much they can do. And honestly speaking, right, if Steam Maidens didn't get hit, I think it would be a really good take, right? Because you kind of know what the entire metagame is going to be. But because that Steam Maiden did get hit, and there could be a possibility that other people take a bunch of other stuff, then the effectiveness of Glenius, like, kind of drops a bit, right? So that's why I didn't include in the top 5. But if we do see any Glenius or Link Joker decks in general, hey, I think that'll be a good spectacle to see, right? So that's the only reason why I didn't include it. If the format was much more like Underverse, right, again, right, like before, then, you know, that would be a great meta call. But because it kind of isn't now, then, you know, people might be considering other decks, and you just might just feel bad when you play Glenius, right? And also the other deck was the like a Fenrir deck, right? So I talked about, you know, Valkyrian, Genesis in general. I know that Fenrir was like was kind of picked in some like leads or something, right? And I think they just took the just like a normal Genesis deck. And I think just Fenrir, and they have the new PR, well, not really new anymore, but they have the great PR that kind of like, you know, plays like kind of a Donald Griffin play kind of thing, right? And that was really good against Steam Maidens. I'm not sure how good it is now. I still think people might take it, just to, like, you know, surprise people that they don't know. But I think it'll be very interesting if people take that or not, if it's strong enough to beat everything right now. So that's probably like I think it'll be 7 decks. I give you a lot of decks, right? But these are probably the top 5 that we'll see from going to Worlds and for V Premium, right? Let me know in the comments below what you think, and I will see you all in America, right? Bye!